Alright guys, so we are back for another guide video. So for today I'll be doing a guide on Split, since it's a map that's been recently reintroduced into the map pool, and since it's one of my favorite chamber map, maybe even my favorite chamber map just personally, I decided to do a guide video on it. So let's get started. So on attack, for chamber, I quite like just first, putting my TP here, and let's say like pistol round, whatever it is, like pistol or just, vandal round. I quite like taking this angle and just holding it when the barriers drop. It's quite strong because your team can scale up kind of when you're holding it. That's kind of what chamber is meant to do, just hold angles while your team scale up. And I quite very frequently get a kill, like they just like swinging usually, maybe with like an enemy player, like it's opping or something. More than likely they'll be just swinging this angle, and then you usually get a free kill. And then for the flank trip, you just place it around here. If I don't use my TP to kind of just hold the angle for my teammates, I like to put my TP here. It gives you quite a lot of range. You can kind of like scale up with your duelist, hold their heaven, hold their drop. You can also hold CT push out if you want as well in this angle. Just hold heaven just in case they swing off you or something. Or you could just play main and hold your flank trip, and then kind of again just take kind of like a passive angle, and then if they're flooding out, you could kind of help heaven. So for B, that's kind of more or less what I do. So for mid on this map, of course, chamber is very good to lurk on mid, as you can catch a lot of timings. Even if the enemy, let's say they have a sage wall, you can just wait it out, because you want to play very slow on mid typically, if you're lurking. So usually what I'll do, I just put my TP here. Gives me a lot of range. Even if we're splitting, again, same thing. I can just walk up, clear vents, again, clear all these angles. And then while I have this control, my team can be ready to flood out. And then while they do, I could probably catch a few enemies. Again, even if they have a sage wall, it doesn't really matter. You can just wait for it to break. And, regardless, you can push up. And again, you can also, if you have the right timing, can also push up vents if your team is A. So, yeah, mid is pretty good on this map. Alright, so for A, what I typically like to do is I like to take first contact, and the TP I like to do is this one here, because it gives me a lot of kind of room to work with. And, usually there is an enemy who likes to push A main, but even if there's not, still, it's good for you to just hold this angle as your team scales up, because you can just, watch this angle for them. And obviously, the thing, what I want to do is, on this map, is I want to try stay main as much as possible, because with the flank trip, it's kind of hard to fully cover all the flanks. Like you could trip sewers, you could trip here, it's kind of hard, right? So what I like to do is I usually like to just trip like this, and then I will just swing off my trip if someone tries to break it, and then again I'll just be staying A main, just chilling here, and then I'll be watching our sewers and stuff. I think it's just very nice, and even if they flood out, again I can just like watch heaven, watch screens, stuff like that. So that's what I usually like to do. But if you do want to, let's say, push site, this TP here is actually pretty nice as well. Again, you can literally, like, if you're opping or something, I would do the same trip regardless. If you're placing your TP here or there, it doesn't matter. I just like this trip to kind of like hold this space. So again, you can like hold this angle when they go to break your trip. You can just find them, take a shot, TP back. You can also go on site with your, let's say, a Vandal or something, whatever you have. Again, you can go very far, help your teammates, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's more or less what I do for attack on A, mid, and B. One thing I didn't mention, what I like to do on attack as well. So let's say I am lurking mid or I'm lurking A and my team is going B, I quite like to just trip across the map. So let's say, for example, I'm pushing mid and my team is A. I like to just have my trip on B just to keep this space, because it's just nice to have just in case something goes wrong on A, let's say, or maybe I can get a nice timing on mid. We can always go back with, we at least have for certain know that we have this space contained. They could obviously be holding this angle and stuff, but again, it's just nice to still have this trip here so they can push up all the way in our spawn. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in real quick just before we go on defense. Alright, so now we are on defense. Now, in my opinion, I think Split is like one of the strongest defense chamber maps. Again, just in my personal opinion, I just really, really like playing defense on this map of chamber. Because it's just very quick rotates you can do, as I'll explain later on. But so for the first thing I like to do is I quite like playing B. It's kind of my dominant site. So the TP I like to do is this one, and then the trip I like to do for info is one either right here or up here. I like to do this one up here. It's a little better. So what I like to do is I like to just put my TP there. Usually when I have an op or headhunter, doesn't matter, or pissed around, I like to just swing this angle, clear it, then I just very carefully clear the next angle. And if I get one, I can just TP back, or if there's no presence on mid, I'll just sit here and just hold it, and then even if they do go B, the reason I like this TP so much is I can walk out of heaven. Let's say if I have, again, Vandal, Outlaw, Operator, regardless of the weapon, they'll usually put a smoke here. I can just walk out, usually take a shot. They'll probably not expect me to be here, and I'll get a kill. Again, I very frequently get kills like that, as I just said. I just walk out the smoke. I still have range with my TP. Take a shot, TP back, get a kill. It's very simple, and I really like this angle. So for mid and B, that's kind of what I do. I don't really change it up that much. Again, sometimes I could, let's say we're having a little trouble on mid. I'll just put this trip here just to kind of give some support there. And then again, I'll just either play on, B main if we're having trouble on B main, and I'll put my trip there. So yeah, on B and mid, that's what I more or less like to do on this side of the map. All right, so to go on A. Now, I don't really play A that much. Again, it's just not my preference site to play on as chamber. But, of course, I'll go A if we are having trouble. So the setup I typically like to do on A is I like to put my TP here, put my trip either here or here, depending on like how much I'm struggling with ramps or main. But usually I put it here.
That's a good spot.
Again, more than likely I'll be opping up and going A, so I'll be just having my up here, swinging this angle, and I like to find a timing just depending on like how the enemy are like moving. I just go by sound, so like if I think I can get a good timing here, if they're like about to walk in main, usually I'll find one just like just about to go in and I'll catch it. Yeah, for A main, I like to take this angle. Another angle I like to take is so I'll put my trip either here or here.
A gift.
Then I could either put my TP up here, or I could put it more deeper inside if I want to fight after I take a shot. But usually I do this one, but recently I've been doing this one here because it's actually kind of nice because I can take a shot and then TP back, and then I can actually take another shot again. So yeah, this is a pretty nice angle. So for A, that's more or less what I do. If you want to go mid though on A, what I'd like to do, again, just depending on how your teammates are kind of like positioning, I either put my trip here or here. I usually like to put it here if I'm playing mid because I'll have my TP sort of like this, and then I put my trip here. It's just to kind of give me some info if there's one pushing. So the reason I like to put my TP there for mid is I can basically rotate from mid to ramps instantaneously if I need. And again, I can hold like an off angle like this, and then if they're coming from sewers, I can just swing, take a shot sewers, TP back, and then I'll instantly be repositioned to ramps if they are making a lot of noise, and then I'll have my trip there to kind of slow them down. So yeah, that's kind of basically what I do for this map. I don't think I've left anything out. I'm just trying to think. I mean, that is literally all I do on this map, exactly as I've laid out. So let me know if you guys have anything that you guys do that I haven't shown that maybe is good. Again, we can all learn from each other. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.